guarantee that nobody, but nobody, has left this ball. And if somebody did manage to leave early, man, he's missing the greatest. Two strikes, ball one. Here comes the pitch. Strike three. A no-hitter, a perfect game for Don Lawrenson. Running like the window, Thompson hits one. Blacker throws. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. 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 And they're going crazy. They're going crazy.
Joe DiMaggio up. Outfield deep, round toward left. The infield overshifted. Here's the pitch. Swung on, belted. It's a long one. Deep in left center. Back for Gianfrido. Back. He makes a one-handed catch against the bullpen. Oh, doctor.
And this is Joe DiMaggio years later, and they've all gathered here at RFK Stadium. The great Yankee Clipper, Willie Mays of the Giants, one of the greatest ever, Al Kaline of the Detroit Tigers, Catfish Hunter in his first game, Willie McCovey, who's headed for the Hall of Fame. They're here at RFK Stadium in Washington for the National Old Timers Baseball Classic.
I may not be Pops on this old squad.
I'm still old aches and pains, but I feel pretty good.
Bob Feller here.
And I can still hum it. I'll tell you one thing, the American League's going to take it to them tonight.
Those aren't bulls, they're mooses.
This CBS Sports Saturday Special Edition is sponsored by the Anheuser-Busch family of beers. Somebody still cares about quality. By Georgia Pacific Corporation, America's leading forest products company. And by Embassy Suites Hotels, where you got a beautiful two-room suite for the price of a single room.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton, and welcome to RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. Do you remember Warren Spahn's high kick on the pitcher's mound? The way Willie Mays would make that famous basket catch in center field for the Giants. And the way Frank Robinson would uncoil like a cobra at home plate. Those are just some of the images we remember from the great baseball players of the past. And today we will relive many of them as we welcome you to the 5th annual National Old Timers Baseball Classic. These players are older now. They've been out of the game for many years, but they still have those same trademarks. We're happy to be with one of the great baseball announcers of all time, Mel Allen, working with us for the 3rd straight year. Mel, what does the game mean to you?
It means to me that I feel like a kid again. I see a lot of kids up here have only read about these players on the field. Well, I've had the privilege of seeing them in action, All-Star games, World Series, being elected, many of them, to the Hall of Fame. I'm just thrilled.
Nationals have won 3 in a row. In the field, Boog Powell, the former Baltimore. He's with one of them right now. Willie Mays, the big leagues.
Thank you, Dick. Willie Mays, the greatest ball player I've ever seen, ever played with, a former roommate of mine, and it's really great to see you here in Washington.
Well, I think it's good that all the... I think I look forward every year just coming back here.
He's out in left field for the American League. He, of course, played in both leagues. Al Kaline, looking slim and smooth as ever, is in center field. And over in right field, Rocky Colavito with that rifle arm. Grew up in the Bronx. And Bill Freehan behind the plate looks like he can still play. And Whitey Ford, who holds just about every World Series pitching record for the Yankees. And Lou Brock, the leadoff hitter. His greatest moment was in 1974 when he broke the single-season stolen base record.
Ruthven checks in. He is going. The pitch is a strike. The throw. He is there. He did it. 105 for Lou Brock.
In a record-breaking process, most players, those who are able to excel, have a passion for that moment. And the passion is that you're in love with the act and not necessarily the numbers. So the act in itself is something that turns you on.
Not only did Lou Brock steal 118 bases, a league record in '74, he's the all-time leader in steals with 938. And Whitey Ford facing Lou Brock to lead off the top of the first inning. Ground ball hit to second baseman. That's Bobby Doerr. Over to Boog Powell, and there's one away, and we're underway at the Old Timers Baseball Classic.
Dick, Lou Brock hasn't changed. He's still a first ball hitter.
One gone, and that'll bring up St. Louis Cardinal great Enos Country Slaughter. Whitey Ford pitched to Slaughter. Hit on the ground to the left side. Brooks Robinson. Piece of cake for him. Even now, 2 away.
Well, that's the Oriole connection. Brooks Robinson, Boog Powell. They've had a great infield over there at Baltimore.
And they're having fun. And here comes Willie Mays, enjoying himself, but when he first came up at a young 20, he couldn't remember anyone's name. He just shouts, "Say hey." In time, he picked up their names, and everyone picked up his.
Ladies and gentlemen, Willie Mays.
He will always be number 24. That booming bat, that golden glove, that awesome arm. Nobody could do so many things so well.
I learned from my father when I was about 14, 15 years old that if you can be a complete ball player, that means hit, throw, run, do everything, and you could stay in baseball for a long time.
Growing up in Alabama, young Willie learned his lessons well, playing semi-pro ball as a kid among men. Signed out of the Negro Leagues, Mays batted .477 at Minneapolis, and after the Giants called him up, he started as anything but a hit in the majors.
When he first joined us, I know he went over 24, 25 and said, "I can't play up there. He hit it too tough for me. I can't hit. I know he won't send me back to Minneapolis." And I put my arm around him. I said, "Son, as long as I'm the manager of the New York Giants, you're going to be the center fielder."
And Willie never looked back, displaying a unique flair with his basket catches and turning his bat into a magic wand at the plate. He created a powerful impression that made him an MVP. The Say Hey Kid touched all the bases and elevated his game into an art form.
I was an artist and an entertainer. I created something every day when I played ball, stealing a base or making a throw or hitting a home run. And I never did the same thing twice.
All-Star games, a record 24 of them, brought out the best in this gifted showman. But for pure pressure, nothing could top playing in the World Series when he knew all eyes were upon him.
There's a long drive, way back in center field, way back.
I love pressure. A lot of ball players cannot handle pressure. But I felt that the pressure was on the pitcher when I hit. But the pressure was on the guy when they hit.
Say hey, say ho, say Willie. Say hey, say ho, swing it at the plate. Say hey, say ho, say Willie. That giant kid is great.
The year was 1958. The Giants followed the Dodgers out west. Willie Mays would continue in full stride, winning his 10th Golden Glove and 4th home run crown. In '62, he led the Giants to the pennant. In '65, won his 2nd MVP.
If you look at the stats, I won everything that Papa could win. I said I'm gonna win the band championship. I won that. Stolen base, I won it four years in a row. I stopped running, but I didn't play special just for me. If I did, I could have probably had more home runs or a higher batting average because I'm playing for me.
Willie Mays ended his career with the Mets and played his final game in the '73 World Series. It was a sentimental season as New York bid farewell to its favorite son.
Willie, say goodbye to America. Thank you very much.
Mays' next step was inevitable. Baseball's Hall of Fame. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn was there to welcome him. But ironically, only 3 months later, he would bar Mays from the game because of his association with the gambling casino. The ban was lifted earlier this year by new Commissioner Peter Ueberroth.
I'm very pleased to be back into the game because I know what the game means to myself and to my family.
All of baseball is his family, and Willie was welcomed back into the Giants fold as a coach. The sight of number 24 still stirs the memories.
I like to be remembered as a guy that really loved what he was doing, really enjoyed what he was doing, and cared about his fellow teammates.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
He loved the game. He could do it all, and he hit 660 home runs.
Whitey Ford delivers, and Mays lines it right at shortstop. Milt Bowling to retire the side. The crowd loves Willie Mays, and he's having a grand time, and the Nationals are retired in order in the top of the first inning. Coming up for the Americans when we come back, it'll be Milt Bowling, Bobby Doerr, and Brooks Robinson.
When he was bad, he became a legend. Duncan Regehr, Barbara Hershey, Hal Linden, My Wicked, Wicked Ways.
We move to the bottom of the first inning here at the National Old Timers Baseball Classic here at RFK Stadium. Taking a look at the National League in the field, Willie McCovey, the great giant slugger at first base. Bill Mazeroski, one of the greatest second basemen. He used to have that pancake glove with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Shortstop Dick Groat, who was Maz's teammate in 1960. Groat also played for the Cardinals and some other clubs. And Johnny Logan, who primarily was a shortstop. When the Braves won the World Series in '57, he's at third. Lou Brock in left field. Center field, Willie Mays.
And if he, of course, still has that big glove and the basket catch.
Enos Slaughter in right, Mel.
And he was voted into the Hall of Fame last year by the Veterans Committee.
Jerry Grote, who caught with the Mets when they won the World Series in '69, behind the plate, and Warren Spahn, one of the greatest, the 5th winningest pitcher in baseball history.
And a great competitor. Warren threw mostly screwballs to right-handed hitters. He also had a curveball and a slider.
Here is Milt Bowling, and the first pitch from Spahn is hit in the air behind second base. There's Bill Mazeroski back there, and he makes the catch.
And Bill, he looked happy about the whole thing, didn't he?
Well, that helped his fielding average, Mel.
He didn't need anything to help his fielding average, that's for sure. Here's Bobby Doerr. Great Red Sox second baseman, Mel.
Yes, he was. And he's going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame this season.
Well-deserved for Doerr, who's now a hitting instructor with the Toronto Blue Jays. Spahn's pitch. And it's lifted in the air, shortstop. Dick Groat is there to make the play.
Dick and Jerry Lynch own a golf course outside of Pittsburgh.
Here's Brooks Robinson, who does TV commentary for the Orioles. The human vacuum cleaner. There was none better at third base.
Little number down the third base line. Brooks is charging, bare hands and throws. He's got him.
If you hit one in his general vicinity, it was an out.
Line drive caught by Brooks Robinson.
He just made every play that came down there.
Ground ball in the hole. What a play by Robinson.
He mastered third base. He mastered it. Completely mastered it.
This was the tool of the trade for the master of the hot corner, Brooks Robinson, the man they call the human vacuum cleaner. And it was on a carpet in Cincinnati in 1970 that Robinson single-handedly swept away the Big Red Machine. Baltimore was world champs, and Brooks the MVP.
As an infielder, you can play 2 weeks and never have a chance to make a good play. But in this World Series, it was bang, bang, bang every game. And I made a couple of plays off of Lee May, and we'll go in the backhand and throw it on one bounce to Boog. And 2 or 3 years later, Lee May comes over here to the Orioles. And the first thing he tells me when he gets over here, he says, "Listen, Brooks, no one in the world would ever heard of you if I hadn't hit those balls down to you."
In Baltimore, though, Brooks was a legend. And after 2 decades, he was rewarded with a day in his honor. And the most appropriate gift? A vacuum cleaner. What else? Brooks also fielded awards easily. He was an MVP of the American League, the World Series, and the All-Star Game. And as for Gold Gloves, he has 16 to polish. The greatest fielding third baseman ever was destined for Cooperstown.
Playing in the major leagues and being recognized at the Hall of Fame is more than any one human being could ask for.
A record crowd welcomed Brooks into the Hall. He became one of only 15 players to be inducted in his first year of eligibility.
When you think about the Hall of Fame, I mean, that's like immortality. You are there. I'm a little embarrassed to walk around up there sometimes. I put on my sunglasses and visor and walk around so I can see everything.
He's still signing autographs, only now the uniform he wears is a business suit. But mixing business with pleasure, Brooks still stays close to the game.
Most base stealers will tell you that it's much easier to steal third base than second base. And they would prefer to steal third base, but most of the time it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
He's found a second baseball career up in the Orioles broadcast booth.
I think that if I didn't have a chance to be close to the game when I first got out, that I would have missed it. And I think probably in 9 years, once or twice, I felt like, boy, I could have made that play. You know, let me out of this booth and let me put on a uniform.
For over 30 years, he's worked on the field, off the field, and above the field. Baseball is his true love.
When I look back and think of my life as a baseball player, that was my dream. That's the only thing I ever wanted to do. And I think that that passion for the game of baseball probably helped me more than any one thing in my whole life.
Well, the count now on Brooks Robinson is 3-2, so the payoff pitch is upcoming. And Bob Friend is on the mound now for the National League. He's the first pitcher ever to lead the league in ERA for a last-place team, the 55 Pirates. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Missing inside, ball 4. And we have our first base runner. Brooks Robinson trots down to first base. And that will bring up the cleanup hitter for the American League, Al Kaline. And McCovey and Brooks say hello to each other. Al Kaline of the Detroit Tigers. You called so many of his games, Mel.
He won an American League batting title at the age of 20.
That's to get out of the way of that pitch.
He was a couple of months younger than Ty Cobb at a comparable age who won his first batting title at 20. Both with Detroit, of course.
So smooth, so sleek was Al Kaline. And lifts a high fly ball to left field. Lou Brock comes in from the warning track and makes the catch to retire the side. The American League leaves one. And after an inning of play here in the 5th National Old Timers Baseball Classic, we have no score. And coming up for the National League in the second inning, it'll be Willie McCovey, Bill Mazeroski, and Dick Groat. What manager would love to have the East blimp? And now for the play-by-play as we go to the top of the second inning, former National League great Bill White.
Thank you, Dick. Bob Feller's on the mound. Batting is Willie McCovey, played with the Giants and the Padres. Let's look at Willie McCovey's 500th big league home run.
My 500th home run was hit in Atlanta Stadium. I hit it off Jamie Easterly, and it was hit to left field. And I was really happy for my teammates because they had really been looking forward to it and looking forward to celebrating every at-bat I had went to, and they had made T-shirts saying 500 for 44 and things of that sort. So I was just as happy for my teammates as I were for myself.
And come August, Willie McCovey will be inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. So McCovey batting against Bob Feller. Strike one.
He said at the beginning he could still hum it, Bill.
And McCovey can still swing it.
Bob Feller with a lot of pride. He doesn't like these guys to get base hits off of him. Into shallow left center. And it'll fall base hit for Willie McCovey. And Frank Robinson will throw the ball in. So Willie McCovey on at first base. Talking to Big Boog Powell and also Jim Honachek, the first base umpire. Bill Mazeroski, who can forget his home run in the 9th inning of the 7th game of the 1960 World Series.
Here's a swing and a high fly ball going deep to left. This may do it. Back to the wall goes Berra. It is over the fence, home run. The Pirates win.
I looked up and I looked at the umpire down the third base line, and he's giving it the home run signal. And then that's when I started to go crazy and started jumping around. I think it's the first time I ever showed my emotions in a ball game in my life. And, well, I guess you couldn't pick a better time.
You certainly couldn't. So Mazeroski batting with McCovey at first base. Top of the second, no score in the ball game.
He's not smiling now, Bill.
Maz has always been a high fastball hitter, and that's a slider. What did I tell you about Bob Feller? He will not throw that fastball up there to a fastball hitter.
Still uses that tobacco chaw right in that left cheek. Some things never change.
To left field. That is Frank Robinson and also Kaline. The ball falls between Kaline and Robinson for a base hit. And McCovey will hold at second base. So the National League, they have runners at first and second. There's McCovey down at second base. Mazeroski on at first. Still nobody out. And Frank Robinson very seldom dropped the ball when he played.
He didn't really drop it. He just looked at it.
Dick Groat's the batter. Former Pirate shortstop. He handles the bat well. Base hit for Groat. Frank Robinson in left, falls down. Frank Robinson having a tough time out in left field.
And Bob Feller's having a tough time out on the mound.
Well, the bases are loaded as Willie McCovey stopped at third base. And that'll bring up Johnny Logan.
That's amazing. 12 career one-hitters. So
Great.
You know how close he came to pitching more no-hitters.
Great pitcher. Logan, a .268 hitter lifetime. Into right field, Rocky Colavito. He's got a rifle out there in right field. And And McCovey decides to go back to third base. A perfect throw from Colavito to Bill Freehand.
How about that? That was a strike.
And these fans appreciate that kind of throw from Colavito. They saw a lot of that when he played for the Indians and the Tigers against the Senators in this park.
From Reading, Pennsylvania, Rocco Colavito. And he gets a standing ovation. Here's Jerry Grody, former Met catcher. He also played with the Dodgers. A National League All-Star back in 1968. Bounce to short. Bowling. Bobby Doerr for the force. Not in time back at first base. McCovey scores, and the National League leads 1-0. So the National League breaking out on top here in the top of the second. Jerry Grody picks up a run batted in, and here's Bob Friend. He was not a bad hitter for a pitcher, as they say. Boog Powell, he'll make the play himself, and that'll retire the side. So Willie McCovey scores a run for the National League. The National League gets 1 run on 3 hits, 2 men left on base. And at the end of 1.5 innings of play, the National League 1, the American League 0. Coming up, Frank Robinson, Boog Powell, and Rocky Colavito.
Integrin medicated shampoo and stopped using Head and Shoulders.
Tegrin's 4 times tough. It tackles all 4 major causes of flaking and itching.
Get tough with Tegrin.
Way up here, a line shack can save your life when the weather turns the coldest. But the best time to stock it is always the hottest. And before you head back down, you head for the mountains. Bush. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Bush. Head for Bush beer. Head for the mountains.
The treacherous Glen Abbey course is the setting for Canada's National Championship, the 77th Canadian Open on CBS Sports. Next.
It's the bottom of the second inning now for the play-by-play. Hall of Fame broadcaster Mel Allen. Mel?
It's into the dirt. Ball 1. Frank Robinson, the only man to ever win the Most Valuable Player award in both leagues. Bob Friend's pitch. Popped high in the air toward first. Waiting for it is Willie McCovey. He's got it, and there's 1 away. The National League leading by a score of 1-0. We're in the last half of the second inning. And now coming to bat is Big Boog Powell. Great star with the Baltimore Orioles. Bob Friend's pitch is low and away for a ball. Fastball is inside. 2-0 count on Big Boog.
Friend still has that same motion, Mel. Throws a lot of sinkers. He's hard to follow.
Ball 3 outside. Powell still has that good eye.
Does that ball go down and away?
Yeah. 3-0 count on Powell. 1 away last the second, and it's ball 4. And Boog Powell walks. And the American League has the man aboard as they trail the Nationals 1-0 last of the second.
Any threat of a steal here, Mel?
And here you see Rocky Colavito. His old mannerism of stretching the muscles in his back. He's all set to await the pitch now from Bob Friend with Boog Powell on first. And there's a drive going deep to left field, going, and it is gone. And the American League moves out in front by a score of 2-1. And I'd say that Boog is mighty happy about that homer, Bill.
And Colavito, of course, always a high ball hitter, Mel. And Friend, who normally throws sinkers, got the ball up, and that's what happens.
How about that?
Colavito was traded as a home run champion to Detroit for Harvey Keene, who was the batting champion. Unusual trade indeed.
The most unusual trade between those two clubs when they traded managers. Joe Gordon went from Cleveland to Detroit, and the Tiger manager went to the Indians. Here's Bill Freehand taking low for a ball.
Jimmy Dykes, who was well-traveled as a big league manager.
Yeah. Frank Lane was the guy that engineered that kind of deal. And that ball hits Bill Freehand, but he says to the plate umpire, I don't want to get hit. I want to hit the ball. Forget about it.
Didn't hurt.
No. So they bend the rules a little bit in his favor. Not just a little bit, a lot.
Well, the fans want to see Freehan take his cut.
I'm not sure that was not a purpose pitch by Mr. Friend. He just got lit up for a 2-run home run.
When he ain't grinning, low and outside for a ball.
You know, we talk about these guys. They still have a lot of pride. A lot of pride.
They still have that competitive feeling.
Yes.
Bill Freehan, one of the great catchers in the history of the Tigers, and they've had some great ones, including Mickey Cochran, who went over from the A's and managed them and caught. And now the American League is sending up a pinch hitter, Luke Appling, who hit a home run in the first game that triggered national interest in this classic.
Would you believe the man in the batter's box is 75 years old? I have trouble believing it myself. It's luscious Luke Appling. Look at that fly ball, deep to left. That's pretty well hit. Back. It's home run! A home run for Appling! I don't believe it. Wow!
I felt strong, but he laid that ball was up, let it hang. You know, don't hang a country boy high fastballs. And I hit it right on the good part of the bat. And I knew I hit it well enough to get out of this park.
This park wasn't as deep as it usually is, but at age 75, any old park is good for a 75-year-older. This time, a high fly to left. Lou Brock under it, makes the catch, and they're 2 away.
Great arm for Lou Brock.
Nice going, Lou.
Well, these fans really like Luke Appling.
Oh, they remember that homer. And now the leadoff man, Milt Bowling, up, and he hits a pitch down to Willie McCovey. Bobbles it for a little while, but then takes a couple of strides to first base, and that retires the side. And the score at the end of the second inning, the American League 2, the National League 1. And now coming up in the first and third will be Lou Brock, Frank Thomas, and
RFK Stadium. We go to the top of the third inning. It's 2-1, the American League leading. An Early Wynn, who really had a struggle to get that magic 300th victory, will be facing Lou Brock. Top of the order for the National League. Second time up for Brock. 2-1 the score. The American League in front. Early Wynn loved to come in on hitters, didn't he?
Oh, he brushed him back.
Bluffs a bunt and takes a call strike.
Once I got a base hit off Lynn's Early Wynn's shins, and he tried to hit me at first base, picking me off. He'd throw high up around my head. Interesting. He was tough.
He gave no quarter. Brock, sharp base hit to center field. If someone would hit a home run off an Early Wynn, it'd be chin music for the next hitter. Well, the next hitter is Frank Thomas, who played with the 62 Mets. More laughs than victories. And Frank Thomas has some thoughts.
We had a pretty good ball club back then. A lot of people think that, the ball club wasn't that good. But we were in a ball game. If you go back and look at all the box scores and everything, we were in a ball game probably till the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning of every game. And then all of a sudden, somebody would hit one on the fist for a base hit. Somebody would make an error. Someone would hit one on the end of the bat. And it got to the point when we go to the ballpark, we were wondering, gee, how are we going to lose today? Because, we lost every which way that you could lose a ball game in that year.
The count is 2-2 now to Thomas, who was a slugger with 9 different clubs, mostly with the Pirates, and a fine home run hitter. He takes the pitch, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Brock is at first base. We're in the third inning. Big rangy hitter was Thomas, and he walks. Pitch inside. So now runners are at first and second. Brock goes down to second base. Nobody out. And we're going to have a new pitcher, Catfish Hunter, who at 40 years of age is the youngest pitcher in this old-timers game. He said, I was hoping I'd never get old enough for one of these. But Catfish Hunter, one of the outstanding hurlers in the American League, in there now. Let's take a look.
Well, it's not unusual to see a baseball pitcher reach in for a handful of chew just prior to taking the mound for a big game. But for Jim Catfish Hunter, the mound has been replaced by a tractor. And as he spends long afternoons cultivating his peanuts and soybeans in Hertford, North Carolina, Catfish has plenty of time to remember when he was one of the finest pitchers in the American League. One night in particular, in 1968, when he could honestly say he was perfect.
Jim Catfish Hunter did not allow one man to get to first base tonight against the Minnesota Twins.
That night, I knew nobody could hit me. I struck out Harmon Killebrew 3 times and Carew twice and Oliva twice. So I think I had 11 or 12 strikeouts. And when I strike those guys out that hit the ball all the time, I knew I had to have something going for me.
But things went well for Catfish on more than just one night. From 1972 through 1974, he led the Oakland A's to 3 straight World Series championships and a place in history as one of baseball's great dynasties. But after the 74 championship, a contractual dispute with A's owner Charlie Finley made Catfish Hunter baseball's first free agent. Though he preferred to stay in Oakland, Yankee owner George Steinbrenner made Catfish an offer he couldn't refuse, and Hunter became a New York Yankee. In the Big Apple, despite 3 straight American League pennants, Catfish felt more like a fish in a bowl at Yankee Stadium.
I thought I'd seen everything when I was in Oakland, but I hadn't seen anything until I got to New York. You know, everything happening, and in Oakland we had 3 sports writers. In New York we had 30 or 40 in there all the time. And it seemed like every little thing would come up and they would be talking about it and really blow it out of proportion.
But New Yorkers appreciated what Catfish did on the field and were sorry when he kept his word after his contract expired.
I told the Yankees when I signed a 5-year contract with them, at the end of it I would quit. I'd come home and be with my kids and wife and try to farm and bring them up on a farm like I was and try to bring them up to a normal life and quiet life, and then when they got up and went their way, they could do what they wanted to.
But baseball is still a part of Catfish's life as he works with his 16-year-old son's American Legion team.
I throw batting practice to him and try to help him batting a little bit and just try to be with him and let him know that I'm behind him all the way.
Catfish pitches batting practice. He's also equipment manager, cheerleader from the first base coaching box, healer of all wounds, and even occasionally, he's a bat boy.
I work a lot harder now than I did when I was playing ball.
At 40, could he still be pitching in the majors today?
Maybe, but I think I'd rather be home farming and being with my kids and try to bring them up the way that I thought was best.
He always couldn't wait to get back to that farm. Catfish Hunter, who won more than 20 games in 5 consecutive years, facing Willie Mays. And you lived with him in your early years.
Roomed with him, lived with him. Willie's a perfect 10.
And he hits a line drive snared by Cookie Rojas for the first out here in the 3rd inning. Runners are at 1st and 2nd.
You're talking about a perfect 10, a guy who can hit with power, feels well, has a great arm, and more importantly, he loves the game.
Here's Willie McCovey. And Mel will remember Willie McCovey for that last out of the '62 World Series.
Never forget that. He hit a line drive the likes of which I've never seen and almost took Bobby Richardson off of second base out in the San Francisco Bay.
And the Yankees beat the Giants in an exciting series. Swung on a miss. And that's 2 strikes on McCovey. That was a long World Series, wasn't it, for one big reason?
Yeah, it rained about 3 straight days before the final game.
1 out, 2 men on. McCovey swings and misses. Foul tip held onto by Freehan, and that's strike 3. And so Catfish Hunter retires the first 2 batters he faces now. And now we're going to have a pinch hitter for Bill Mazeroski. It'll be Glenn Beckert, who played second base for the Chicago Cubs.
Cat seems to be throwing better now than he threw his last year. He's always been a high ball pitcher. That's why he had given up a lot of home runs. But most of those home runs came with nobody on base.
Down the third base, Brooks Robinson will get the force at second to retire the side. So Hunter comes in and gets them 1, 2, 3 after 2 runners were on, and after 2.5 innings of play, the American League leads the National League by a score of 2-1 in a close battle here at RFK Stadium. Coming up for the American League, Cookie Rojas, Brooks Robinson, and Al Kaline.
This is where it begins. Anywhere there's moisture, there's the chance of catching athlete's foot. This is where it ends. Micotin. Only Micotin cures athlete's foot with miconazole. a medically proven ingredient that eliminates athlete's foot. This is where athlete's foot begins. This is where it ends. Mycotin, the end of athlete's foot.
Why is my antacid Tums? Tums is effective. It neutralizes 1/3 more stomach acid than the other leading brand. And Tums is rich in calcium. To me, that's extra good news.
Your car gets hit and the molding snaps. Your tile comes loose. Your gutters spring a leak. Your fridge blows a gasket. Tough repairs strike anywhere, but you can fix them all with Elmer's Stick-Sol. Tough repairs, fix them all with Elmer's Stick-Sol.
The most powerful version of America's favorite replacement battery. For confident starts in all kinds of weather, the Sears Die Hard Incredicell battery. One more way we install confidence at Sears. And here's another great Die Hard battery, our best-selling Die Hard. On sale now, you save $15, just $54.99 with trade-in.
There's more for
at Sears.
Hall of Famer, number 5, the Yankee Clipper, Joe DiMaggio.
You and I. He tied the mark at 44, July the 1st, you know. Since then he's hit a good 12 more, Chilton Joe DiMaggio. Joe DiMaggio, we want you and I. From coast to coast, that's all you'll hear of Joe, the one-man show. He's glorified the horse-hide fear, Chilton Joe DiMaggio.
Joe had great pride, and when he was in the midst of that 56-game hitting streak, he hated to get, say, just an infield hit. And when he did, before the ball game was over, he managed to deliver a ringing base hit to the outfield.
I don't think anyone knew that before right now, Mel. Thank you for that. As Hoyt Wilhelm gets set to face the American League, Cookie Rojas in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And the first pitch, Rojas gets a base hit down the left field line. Ed Kranepool gets the ball back to the infield, and Rojas is on with a single. So Hoyt Wilhelm is pitching for the National League, and he has appeared in more games than any other major league pitcher. Here's Brooks Robinson.
See that knuckleball? Jerry Grote's got a tough job here tonight.
And you know, Bill, right now, as he's pitching, he's 62 years old.
Native of North Carolina, and reaching for that is Brooks Robinson in the count. 2 strikes now. 16 consecutive Gold Gloves for Brooks. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And so Wilhelm gets Brooks Robinson on strikes after Rojas led off the inning with a base hit. And that'll bring up Al Kaline, who fly to left his first time up. And talk about Gold Glove winners, Kaline has won 9. Wilhelm pitched for 21 years. Kaline hits a ground ball through into left field for a base hit. Rojas will stop at second as Brock gets the ball back to the infield. Mel, he wasn't always a relief pitcher, was he, Hoyt Wilhelm?
No, he started some games, but they thought he'd be better in the bullpen. And he actually stayed as an active pitcher until he was 49 years of age.
Here is Gene Woodling, who's batting for Frank Robinson, takes ball 1 outside. Gene Woodling, who played left field for the Yankees in their heyday when they won 5 straight World Series from 1949 to 53. Takes ball 2. Wilhelm pitched a no-hitter as well, didn't he?
It was late in September, pennant race already over. Paul Richards said, why don't you go out and start the games against the Yankees? He pitched a no-hitter.
Just like that. Pitched with the White Sox. Broke in with the Giants, did Wilhelm, in 1952.
Look at Woodling. He still has great concentration.
And that pitch is inside, ball 4. So Gene Woodling, who was traded from the Yankees to the Orioles in a tremendous deal. There might have been 17 players in that deal. Goes down to first base. So the bases are loaded now. Rojas is at third. Kaline at second. Woodling at first with one out. And that'll bring up Boog Powell.
He's sort of a favorite around here because he played with Baltimore. Only 40 miles away.
And he loves situations like this.
American League leading 2-1, and Powell lines a base hit fair down the right field line. Rojas, of course, will score. And Kaline comes around to score, and it's now a 4-1 ball game as Powell drives in two.
Let's look at that again. This is a fastball. I don't think this was a knuckler. Boog stays with it, rips it past Argel down the line. Now the right fielder, Frank Thomas, makes a good play getting to the ball as he plays it off the wall, but a couple of runs score.
He didn't have to worry about Boog Powell's speed.
Woodling goes to third, and here is Rocco Colavito. And he hits it on the ground. Fair ball glances off the glove, I believe, of Johnny Logan. Woodling will come across and score. It's a 5-1 ball game now. And they're going to call it an error. Charge to Johnny Logan. And it's 5-1. That brings up Bill Freehan.
You want me to run upstairs and tell the official score we think it's a hit?
Everything ought to be a hit in this ball game.
Yeah, that's true. Colavito, who homered last inning, now safe at first with an error. Freehan hits it deep to left field. Going back, Cranepool, it's gone. A home run for Bill Freehan. A 3-run blast off of Hoyt Wilhelm, and it's now an 8-1 ball game.
How about that, Bill Freehan? You know, Bill, in his active career, hit over 200 home runs, and he ranked around 5th or 6th or so among catchers in all-time home runs. He was also a Gold Glove as a catcher.
Outstanding receiver, good hitter for the Tigers. Colavito and Powell score in front of him, and now the American League leading 8-1, and Catfish Hunter getting up with a chance to hit. Wilhelm working, and Hunter lines it to left field, and it's going to be over the head of Cranepool into the stands. It'll be a ground rule double for Catfish Hunter. But everyone's still buzzing over Bill Freehan's 3-run homer, and Bill White is in the dugout with him now.
How'd you like hitting the ballpark with the fence about right there all the time?
I think I can make a living in a ballpark like this. But, you know, I keep talking to Lance Parrish with the Tigers and Jack Morris and Petrie, and they tell me the ball's jacked up this year, a lot of home run balls this year. Maybe we're using the same thing here tonight.
Tom Tresh, pinch hitting now, recalls a great catch he made in Game 7 of the 1962 World Series.
When Willie Mays hit the ball, I just took off after it as hard as I could, and it was down the line, hooking into the corner. And I managed I was able to get my glove on the ball, and I caught it right in the web, right in the webbing, and more than just about half the ball was sticking out of the top of the web, and I was able to get my other hand on top of it when I ran into the fence. But, anytime any of the great catches that have been made in the game have always been the difference of a fraction of an inch, and so luck was on my side in that one.
Switch hitting Tom Tresh, who's batting for Milt Bowling. He's the 9th man to bat here in the 3rd inning. 6 runs are in. It's 8-1. Hoyt Wilhelm still on the mound. Catfish Hunter is at second base. 1 man out. Tresh hits a deep drive to right field. If it stays fair, it is a home run for Tom Tresh.
Tom Tresh was an all-around good ball player with the Yankees. He could play a pennant-winning shortstop, and when they switched him out to left field, he was great then.
It's 10-1 now. Catfish Hunter scores in front of Tresh as Lindy McDaniel starts to heat up, and Hoyt Wilhelm has faced 9 batters here in the 3rd inning, and 8 men have crossed the plate. Bill Freehan with a 3-run homer and Tom Tresh with a 2-run blast, and it brings up Cookie Rojas for the 2nd time here in this 3rd inning. He singled to start it off. And Rojas hits a fly ball to left field, and this is out of here. Ball's flying out of here at RFK.
How about that? How about that? And how about that? That takes care of all 3 homers.
All right, Cookie Rojas with 2 hits, including a home run. It is now 11-1 in favor of the American League.
And Wilhelm, I think he's not happy with the way he's pitched, but he realizes that people want to see some offense. And here, he's saying, I don't have it, Lindy. The knuckleball didn't work. Let's try the forkball.
So Lindy McDaniel will come in for Hall of Famer Hoyt Wilhelm. It is 11-1, and we have a pitching change here at RFK.
The 77th Canadian Open on CBS Sports. Next.
A view of the White House all lit up from our Goodyear blimp. As we're back in Washington, D.C., Lindy McDaniel has come in to relieve Hoyt Wilhelm. McDaniel broke in with the Cardinals, finished his career at the American League.
And he'll face Brooks Robinson here.
Brooks Robinson struck out. It's been the only out that the National League has corralled here in the third. Robinson hits it sharply to left field for a base hit. And he's on, and the onslaught continues for the American League. They have scored 9 runs so far this inning. And that'll bring up Al Kaline, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1980. Had over 3,000 hits, and he'll never forget the night he got the magic figure.
That was a tremendous night for me, one certainly I'll never forget. And the second time at the plate, I hit a base hit down the right field line for a double, and I would have liked to have gotten my hit in Detroit, where I played my whole career, but certainly the second best place was Baltimore, where I was born and raised, and my parents were in the stands.
So Al Kaline with 3,000 career hits. By the way, the count is 3 balls and 2 strikes. Lindy McDaniel facing Al Kaline came in, and Brooks Robinson got a base hit after Hoyt Wilhelm faced 10 batters and gave up 9 runs. That pitch is outside, ball 4, and so McDaniel having his problems, and runners now at first and second, still only 1 out in an 11-1 ball game. But Bill White, as you said, the fans love to see the hits and the home run.
And they've seen plenty here, especially the onslaught by the American Leaguers. They're getting even.
There's Gene Woodling. Of course, played nearby with the Orioles after his tenure with the Yankees. Takes a call strike on the outside corner.
You know, Gene Woodling looks like what he does. He's a farmer.
McDaniel's pitch swung on and missed. 2 strikes now to Gene Woodling.
I'll tell you one thing, though. He's one of the greatest competitors I ever saw.
Had to be to play on 5 world championships with the Yankees in the late 40s and the early 50s. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And so they're 2 down finally. Both outs coming on strikeouts. Runners remain at first and second. And here is Bill Skowron, who's batting for Boog Powell. So the former Purdue football player who had a tremendous career with the Yankees and then was part of a world championship with the Dodgers against the Yankees in 1963.
Remember it well.
Takes the pitch outside for a ball. Of course, Bob Friend pitched earlier. He went to Purdue University, and of course, so did Bill Skowron. Moose. 2 down, 2 on. So next to Wilhelm, Lindy McDaniel has made the most appearances in baseball history. That pitch is low.
Excellent forkball when Lindy was young. The ball really went down for it. I think that was what they call now the split-fingered fastball.
Do you remember Vaughn McDaniel when he came up as an 18-year-old phenom?
Did well early, but then all of a sudden the bottom dropped down.
With the Cardinals, pitch is outside, ball off the glove of Jerry Grody. The runners aren't going to move, however, as you can see Brooks Robinson at second. Kaline stays at first.
There are actually 3 McDaniel boys who signed out of Oklahoma, and each one of them got a bonus of $60,000.
You know, I got to say this about Moose. He's the most consistent first baseman the Yankees has had since Lou Gehrig.
And that's saying a mouthful. So Skowron walks, trots down to first. The runners advanced, and the bases are loaded once again. The American League looks like they're ready to do some damage. They have scored 9 runs here in the 3rd inning and lead 11-1. Don't forget, they're trying to break a 3-game losing streak. And here's Irv Noren, who went from the Washington Senators to the New York Yankees and helped them win a World Series.
Right.
So the bases are loaded. And there's the ball lifted out to right field. Frank Thomas chases it, but it's a base hit. Thomas against the screen. 2 runners will come across. Kaline and Brooks Robinson. And it's now a 13-1 ball game. And Irv Noren with a pinch hit, single driving in 2 runs. You know, the funds for this game go to the Association of Professional Ball Players of America. And, of course, all of this is to benefit ex-players who have been down on their luck.
Great cause.
Here's Freehan, who hit a 3-run homer earlier and lines one to left field and has another one. Bill Freehan with his second 3-run homer of this third inning.
A big how about that? 6 runs batted in.
Skowron and Noren cross the plate in front of him, and Bill Freehan makes it 16-1. I don't know about your scorecard, Mel, but I'm ready for another page here.
I've already started a new scorecard.
Here's Tony Oliva, who's going to bat for Catfish Hunter.
Hey, here's one of the greatest hitters I ever saw.
Ted Williams felt that too, didn't he, Mel?
And Oliva gets a base hit up the middle.
That's why Ted Williams thought he was such a great hitter. Now, he actually went up to see him because he said he may be the next 400 hitter. Of course, Williams was the last 400 hitter.
And he did it on the last day. It ended up 406.
6 out of 8.
They wanted to sit down, and he said, no, I'll play.
Tom Tresh, who hit a 2-run pinch homer earlier this inning, lifts a high fly ball to right field. Frank Thomas is there to make the catch, but not before 18 batters come to the plate for the American League. 14 runs, 11 hits, and 1 man left on base. And after 3, the American League leads it 16-1 with a bombastic inning. And the Nationals will come up with Woody Woodward, Frank Bowling, and Randy Hundley when we return.
There's something wrong with my car.
Can't come out of the booth.
What's wrong with you people? Don't you fix cars anymore?
I can't come out of the booth.
For one reason or another, more and more Americans are looking for a new home for car service. Firestone, with over 10,000 service bays, 1,500 mastermind computers, and 5,000 trained Mastercare mechanics to give you the service you've been looking for.
America's driving to Firestone.
The greatest invention in travel since the wheel is American Airlines Ultimate Super Savers. Fares from $39 to $159. Discover affordable travel with American Airlines.
For every man who wears Brute deodorant, there's a woman who'll always be glad that he did. Because a man who wears Brute deodorant is nice to be close to. Brute. It smells like a man.
Great.
All good horse traders know horses. The best ones know cowboys, too.
He needs a little work, but the price is firm. He's worth it, but I'm a little short. Just pay me half now, and if I don't hear from you, he knows the way home.
Bush. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Bush. Head for Bush beer.
Head for the mountains.
16-1, the American League is in front. We go to the top of the 4th inning. Mudcat Grant is on the mound for the American League, and now again with the play-by-play, Bill White.
All right, Dick Stockton, the pride of Lacucci, Florida. Mudcat Grant, he'll pitch to Woody Woodward. Woodward now a vice president in the Yankee organization. In the right field, coming on quickly, Herb Noren can't make the play. Woodward around first base. He'll go on to second as we look at the ball out there in right field, and Woody will go on to third base. That's probably the first triple in his career. So Woody Woodward leads off with a triple here in the 4th inning for the National League, and the batter now, Frank Bowling.
He didn't hit too many triples either, Bill.
1 home run in his career for Woody Woodward. Bowling straight up in the air. This is the shortstop, Tom Tresh, and there's one down. Tresh, an all-around player with the Yankees, Mel Allen.
Yes, we had an interesting situation. He played shortstop. Tony Kubek went into service. Kubek came out of service in August, right in the middle of a pennant race, and KC switched him.
This is Randy Hundley. He's batting for Jerry Grody. 1 out, Woodward over at third base. Hundley, a good catcher. He played with a lot of ball clubs, the Giants, the Cubs, the Twins, the Padres.
And in '69, of course, Randy Hundley nearly helped the Cubs beat the Mets in the Eastern Division of the National League. Cubs blew a big lead, and the Mets won it.
Bouncer right side. Cookie Rojas with a fine play. And the put out is made. Woodward scores. And the American League now leads by a score of 16-2. Fine play by the second baseman, Cookie Rojas. Willie Stargell is the next batter. Let's take a look at the co-MVP of 1979.
Willie Stargell, the man the Pirates called Pops in 1979. His strong, quiet leadership helped mold this team into a family and World Series champions.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing.
We had all different colors of people, religions, political views. We had every conceivable, we had an international ball club. But what was unique is that we would put all that petty stuff aside when we got out on the field. And we'd play the best damn 9 innings of baseball that anybody could play. And we knew that we were something special.
Many stars shined bright for the Pirates that World Series, but it was the 38-year-old slugger that was named MVP, and to this day, his exploits are legendary.
One of the greatest power hitters I've ever seen in the game. As a player, he could break it open with one swing, any at bat. Always knocked in the big run. Always could knock in the big run.
I was expected to do certain things, and I had to do them. But all that was attributed to Roberto because, you know, he had taught me all these things. You know, it's like, you know, I'm going to teach you these things because maybe one day I'm going to retire. We didn't anticipate the tragic loss in which we did, but, you know, he passed the baton. I was in the position to take it and run with it. I always felt that each day that I went out on the field that I had an opportunity to do much better than I've ever done.
Willie retired in 1982. They'll never forget Pops in Pittsburgh. When he returned to Three River Stadium this year as the Braves' first base coach, he got a standing ovation. Stargell was still part of the family.
Pops, Willie Stargell. 21 years in the big leagues, 475 home runs. Popped off first base. Moose Gowron makes a play. And that'll retire the side. So Moose Gowron on the pop-up from Willie Stargell. After 3.5 innings of play, it's American League 16, the National League 2. Coming up, Cookie Rojas, Brooks Robinson, and Larry Doby.
It is a race spanning 24 days and more than 2,500 miles of ever-changing French terrain. The 73rd Tour de France. For Greg LeMond, last year's second-place finisher, and Eric Heiden, it's another chance to become the first American to wear the yellow jersey. For now, that jersey belongs to 5-time and defending champion Bernard Hinault. Coverage begins tomorrow on CBS Sports Sunday.
This is CBS. If ignored, a leaking roof can develop into a major problem. A Trocal roofing system from Bloxam Roofing of Traverse City will not only stop leaks, but prevent them almost indefinitely. Bloxam's well-trained and experienced Trocal applicators chemically weld and seal each and every seam of your new roof. A roof that expands and contracts with changing weather and is completely maintenance-free. Bloxam Roofing stands behind the Trocal roofing system with their 60 years of dependable service. Call for a free estimate and inspection. Bloxam Roofing of Traverse City.
It's time for the National Cherry Festival, and it's time for Max's annual Pre-Cherry Festival extravaganza. At Max's, we love the Cherry Festival, but due to all the festivities, we lose a week's worth of business. So from now until Cherry Festival week, all those great GE refrigerators and ranges, washers and dryers, dishwashers and microwaves will be reduced for this special event. Pre-Cherry Festival savings from Max's and GE, and you'll get a free cherry pie with every major purchase. Max's annual pre-Cherry Festival extravaganza, downtown Traverse City.
Again, the view from the Goodyear Blimp, RFK Stadium, with a good crowd of some 26,000 on hand. And right now for the play-by-play, once again, Mel Allen.
And Tug McGraw on the mound for the National League, getting ready to pitch to Cookie Rojas. Cookie hits a high fly ball out in the center field. Lou Brock makes the catch, and there's one away as the American League leads by a score of 16-2 after that 14-run outburst in the third inning. Now coming to bat, Brooks Robinson.
Remember in the early 60s, Mel, who was the better third baseman, Brooks or Clete Boyer of the Yankees?
All depends who you wanted to root for. I guess you'd have to say, as an all-around third baseman, this man at the plate who just took the pitch for a strike.
You know, Brooksy, he wasn't fast, but he had great quickness and excellent anticipation over third base.
And good shortstops to his left. Brooks Robinson drives one past third out in the left field for a single. Ed Kranepool out there in left field.
Is he the original Met, Ed Kranepool?
Righto. And you know, here's Larry Doby coming to bat. Larry Doby, the first black ever to play in the American League.
For decades, blacks were barred from the major leagues. The only showcase for their talents was the old Negro Leagues. Then in 1947, Jackie Robinson and the Brooklyn Dodgers dared to break the color barrier. 3 short months later, another black man joined the major leagues and the crusade against racism. His name, Larry Doby.
I never thought about baseball as a profession because, as you know, they call it the All-American game at that time, but it wasn't an All-American game because All-Americans were not allowed to participate. In 1946, when Jackie got signed by Mr. Rickey, then I thought that there was a possibility to be involved in baseball. And I came out of the service, of course, and I went back to Newark, played with the Newark Eagles, and then Mr. Vett came along in 1947 and signed me with Cleveland. I think that with someone other than him, it might have been a different kind of struggle for me. But with him being like a father, my father passed away when I was 8 years old, so I didn't have that experience. But him being like a father with advice, with telling you that these things are happening because of this or that, but you got to be strong enough to overcome that. That, to me, made the difference in terms of me being successful or not being successful in the major leagues.
And the young slugger was successful, despite having to deal with taunts and threats both on and off the field. And when the going got really tough, he could always turn to one person for inspiration.
Beck helped. First of all, he says, there are a lot of kids that are going to benefit from what you and Robinson are doing. But the moment that you or Robinson can't succeed, then there's going to be a long time for the next person to get the opportunity.
And Doby made the most of his opportunity. In his second season with the Indians, he helped them win a World Series. To this day, that championship remains his fondest memory.
So many guys I know that never had an opportunity to play in the World Series, and that's a totally different thing from, the everyday play. That's the climax, and I think that would be one of the highlights as far as I'm concerned, as far as my career is concerned. I've had some good years, I've done some good things and all that sort of stuff, but that would be the highlight.
In 1954, Larry Doby led the league in home runs and runs batted in. He hit 20 or more home runs for 8 straight years, but his biggest contribution was to help open up the national pastime for all Americans.
Tug McGraw's pitch swung on and missed. Strike 3, and they're 2 away. Boy, he had power, Phil.
He could hit the ball as far as anybody. I remember, especially Mel, Larry Doby and Luke Easter batting in tandem in Cleveland.
Here's a fellow who was a pretty good hitter, especially in the clutch, Gene Woodling. And he drives one to center field. And Lou Brock waiting, makes the catch, and the side is retired. Some things just never change. Tug McGraw, that mannerism of slapping the glove against the thigh. You gotta believe And they got to believe they might come back from 16-2. And that's the score at the end of 4 innings of play. And as we move into the first half of the 5th inning, coming up for the National League, Lou Brock, Frank Thomas, and Ed Kranepool.
When you're planning a busy business, you need support, service, backup, new ideas, and the IBM Personal Computer XT, today's most popular business PC. When business gets very busy, so can your IBM PC XT. You can add software from a whole library of powerful business programs to balance the budget, do the payroll, keep track of inventory, sales, distribution, and profits. When you have an extremely busy business, your PC XT can keep growing with it to create advanced graphics, communicate with other computers, even store up to 10,000 pages of information. The IBM PC XT. The bigger you get, the better it gets. See it at your authorized dealer or call your IBM representative.
Excuse me. I'm looking for...
Tall, cold, frosty one, big foamy head, rich and creamy. No. 3 A&Ws.
root beer.
A&W root beer. It's got that frosty mug taste.
Pour yourself a frosty one. A&W. No. No. What do you guys do for a living, huh?
He's sitting on 7-14. Here's the pitch by Downing. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
One of the top moments in baseball history, Henry Aaron, who was supposed to be in this game, he was a late scratch. His sister was involved in an automobile accident. She's okay, and we wish her well. Meanwhile, as we go to the top of the 5th inning, sudden Sam McDowell. Talk about pitchers who could bring it.
He could bring it. And look who he's got to face, or look who's got to face him. Lou Brock, he'd rather be someplace else, I would think, with Lou Brock.
Lou Brock leading off. Takes ball 1. Lou Brock says that one of the things that he remembers most was getting the 13 hits in the World Series in 1968 with all of the great honors he's had. Bobby Richardson co-holds the record with him. Here's a drive hit out to right field, and Tony Oliva makes a tremendous backhanded running catch. You know, Oliva's career was cut short because of the bad knees, but he really showed great hustle there.
Excellent. The right knee almost gave way. That tells you how these guys take this game. They're serious. Tony wants to look as good as he can out there in right field. Excellent play.
Well, Bill Mambuquette, who pitched primarily with the Red Sox, has come in to relieve McDowell. So Ford, Feller, Wynn, Hunter, Grant, McDowell, and now Bill Mambuquette in there. And Frank Thomas lines a base hit to left field.
Where's Hank Bauer?
He normally would be in right field for the Yankees. And Woodling, the left fielder, gets the ball back in. And Frank Thomas holds it first with a single. So Thomas is at first with 1 out in the 5th inning, and the National League has a long way to come, trailing 16-2. Here's Ed Kranepool. Came right out of high school to join the Mets. Brooks Robinson dives to his left and throws the ball into right field. And that'll be a rare error. Charged to Brooks Robinson, but Bill White, that was vintage Brooks going to his left.
We talked about his quickness. Came up with the ball on his knees, just threw it past Cookie Rojas. And you see the attempt by Rojas to dive and catch the ball at second base with a force out.
So that gets the crowd going, and here's Wilbur Stargell. Stargell grounds it to second base. Rojas over to second for 1, and the double play, the first double play of the ball game, retires the side. It's 16-2. The American League has 1, but they'll get to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning with Kell, Batty, and McDowell coming up.
She's beautiful, Grandpa.
Was when my grandpa brought me here back in 1986. Gave me this U.S. Liberty coin.
Wow, that's a beauty, too.
Mighty precious, minted by the U.S. Treasury to celebrate her centennial.
Is that why your grandpa got it?
And so I could give it to you.
United States Liberty coins, singly or in sets at banks, savings, and loans, and most Sears stores. Keep Liberty in mint condition forever.
These days, Johnny Bench's bench is at the 19th hole. While my buddy finishes, I'll show you why you get a championship finish with Krylon spray paint. I'll spray this bench with Krylon, this one with the other leading brand. Krylon goes on smooth. No runs, no drips, no errors. And it dries to the touch in 12 minutes. 1 hour later, the other brand's still wet. Yeah, time to go. What'd you shoot? 200. Hey, same as in the majors. Yeah, what are all those flags for? Krylon dries faster for a smooth, professional finish.
The treacherous Glen Abbey course is the setting for Canada's national championship. The 77th Canadian Open on CBS Sports. Next.
CBS Sports Saturday Special Edition has been sponsored by Krylon for a smooth, fast, professional finish. By A&W Root Beer. Pour yourself a frosty one. Rich, creamy A&W Root Beer. And by United States Liberty Coins. Keep Liberty in mint condition with United States Liberty Coins.
Well, it's the bottom of the 5th inning, and the Americans are up, and they lead, and you wonder why. Well, it's because the fans want to see their 5 full innings, and they're going to get their wish. George Kell will lead off. Outstanding third baseman with the Tigers and later the Orioles, facing Tug McGraw.
And one-time American League batting champion.
Good fastball by Tug McGraw. Kell, by the way, is pinch hitting here for Boog Powell. Out of Swifton, Arkansas. Telecaster for Detroit Tigers games. And a base hit to left field for George Kell. Still has that stroke.
He still has a good stroke. You know, the Tigers have 2 Hall of Famers in their broadcast booth. Not only George Kell, but also the big right fielder, Al Kaline.
And that brings up Earl Batty. Batty was the big catcher when the Twins won the American League pennant in 1965. Slices that in the air, and shortstop Woody Woodward is under it and makes the catch, so there's 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th.
And Woodward, a vice president with the New York Yankees.
He has that executive look, catching a pop-up.
Sam McDowell. I was going to ask, what kind of a hitter was Sam McDowell?
Sam wasn't a bad hitter. He swung the bat hard.
Lays down a bunt and a good one. McGraw goes to second and throws the ball into left field. And it's going to go all the way to the fence. Kell, the base runner, goes all the way to third base, and so good bunt by McDowell and a throwing error charged to Tug McGraw. So the American League, as if they need more runs, threatening again.
It's a good bunt by Sudden Sam. When he played, he swung the bat hard, didn't make too much contact, but that was an excellent bunt.
Here's Tresh, who hit a 2-run pinch homer back in that tremendous 3rd inning when 18 batters came up for the American League and 14 runs came across the plate. Breaking ball looped out to center field. It's going to drop for a base hit. Kell is going to score, and Lou Brock playing some games out there. You know that you're not going to see any other runners advance. It's now 17-2.
Tom Tresh was the son of Mike Tresh, who caught for the Detroit Tigers.
Here's Cookie Rojas with McDowell at second base. Lifts a high pop-up. Third baseman Glenn Beckert in foul territory makes the catch. Rojas was a really reliable second baseman with the Phillies. Ended his career with the Orioles. Bill Skowron's the batter now. You know his nickname is the Moose. How did he get it? Let's find out.
I got my nickname Moose when I was about 7, 8 years old, living on the northwest side of Chicago. My grandfather shaved off all my hair, and I was completely bald. And when I got outside, all the older fellas around the neighbors started calling me Mussolini. At that time, he was the dictator of Italy. As years went on through grammar school, high school, and college, everybody called me Moose, and that name stayed with me.
The count is 3-0 on Moose Skowron, Mel.
He was a right-hand batter who gave you the appearance of looking left and hitting the ball to the opposite field. But you know what he told me? He could hit, Bill, he could hit right-handers better than he could left-handers.
Then he liked the ball up, and right-handed pitchers, for some reason, kept the ball up for Skowron.
And here's Larry Doby, who liked him either way. Left-hander or right-hander. He's facing McGraw, and he fouls that pitch out of play. Doby, of course, we've already talked about his place in history. He was the center fielder when the Indians lost to the Giants in 54 and 4 straight. A big surprise because the Indians had won 111 games. Here's Tug McGraw's pitch. Hit out to center field. Lou Brock coming in again, and it's off his glove and gets away from him. 1 run scores, and now Tom Tresh comes across with the second run, and it's now 19-2, the American League leading. But Lou Brock doesn't care.
Lou's been watching the World Cup.
He wants a penalty kick. Here's Gene Woodling once again coming up with that familiar crouch, and he lines it to third baseman Glenn Beckert, and that'll do it. So the final score, the American League wins 19-2 to break a 3-game losing streak, but this is what it's all about right here. So chalk up another old-timers baseball classic, a game for the fans and the players. This game keeps both of them young. Baseball, a series of hand-me-downs. That's how Luke Appling and Enos Slaughter can play in the same game as Bill Freehan and Catfish Hunter. The memories stay alive.